So from there we'll kick off. People will join probably as they come. There's a lot. I know it's the dinner hour and folks are busy, but we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for all of you for being here. My name is Jenny Baldwin. I'm the Director of Alumni Engagement at Overlake. And before that, I was an English faculty member, and Griffin and Maddie, who's also on here, and then Carolyn, whose mom has joined, were my students. And Griffin was graduated from the class of 2018, and he'll tell you about his career path, but he's now killing it at LinkedIn and has agreed to run this Rock Your Profile session this evening. So I'll turn it over to Griffin. And at any time, put questions in the chat. I'll try to keep track of those and feed those to Griffin as we go. And then there'll be live Q&A at the end as well. So I'm going to mute myself and let Griffin take over.
Amazing. Appreciate it, Jenny. And yeah, I remember walking into Jenny's first class, and I don't think I knew how to write more than 2 pages well. And she literally changed how I talk, write to who I am today. So I owe a lot of credit to Jenny, and I'm excited to be chatting about something that, like, realistically, I very much enjoy doing and working on. So I'm pumped for the next 50 minutes, an hour of us talking. My plan today is talk you through LinkedIn overall, what I do at LinkedIn, how I got here, and kind of what I heard earlier of like how I'd be using the platform to squeeze out as much value as possible for not only someone who's trying to get a job, keep a job, or just generally make their LinkedIn better. So very excited. In prepping for these sessions, the like rock your profile phrase is something that is talked about a lot at LinkedIn. I'm gonna share my screen just for like 3 seconds. Most people who like run this session literally just like walk you through how to like create a LinkedIn profile. And realistically, like I think you can get a lot of this from the internet in general of how do I create a post? How do I draft a compelling summary? How do I add a photo? Like, I feel like this is all becoming table stakes. So my goal is to show you like what I would be doing if I were looking for a job, if I were trying to like up level my LinkedIn. So like my goal is this is like the behind the scenes. It isn't just the, oh, cool, I know how to update a profile, but like, how do I think differently about this? As Jenny alluded to, like questions in the chat are the best way. I want to make this a discussion though. So I'm going to talk a little, and then I definitely want to cut out at least 15, 20 minutes for a really strong discussion and the questions you're going to ask. Yeah, happy to send the basic slides right after this so that you can have them. So I think the best way to start is like what I do at LinkedIn and how I got to LinkedIn, because I think it's kind of fundamental to how I suggest folks use LinkedIn. I'll start with like what I do now. I'm an account director at LinkedIn, so I manage the recruiting relationships that customers have with LinkedIn. So most people ask me, how does LinkedIn make money? What a lot of folks don't realize is that companies spend tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to pinpoint the exact Seattle University employee or the exact Carleton College student at scale. And having every single recruiting alert for 1.3 billion people allows you to create and avoid spending money on recruiting agencies and overall hire great people. So like that's my job every day, is teaching and helping companies use LinkedIn more effectively so that they can hire the best people possible. And that brings a smile on my face. Like I feel like that's a really cool mission. So like the Atlanta Falcons, the Liquid Deaths, Playboy even, they all use LinkedIn and they're all my customers. So like I'm working daily to tailor their LinkedIn strategy, and I'll talk through that a little more in depth on the latter half. How I got to LinkedIn, I think, is a little different than at least most college students approach hiring or approach jobs. I was supposed to be on a study abroad in Portugal, in Lisbon, and COVID hit, and they said, hey, Griffin, like, you're going to take those exact same classes from your childhood bedroom. And I'm like, okay, yeah, for sure, the same thing, Lisbon, Portugal, childhood bedroom. And I was kind of asking myself, like, how can I how can I be different? How can I do something besides just this to make myself stand out? Uh, and this is gonna sound very like Gen Z of me, but I actually saw like a TikTok video that was like, you should reach out to people you think are cool on LinkedIn. And I was like, not a bad idea. Probably couldn't hurt me. Why not try it? Um, so all I did was like creating this strategy of who are people who I think are cool and who are people I want to chat with and who are people who are likely going to respond to me. And I kind of did the math and said, okay, probably people who have similar backgrounds or similar connections than me. Oh, wait, like why don't I orient on University of Arizona alumni where I went to school or Overlake alumni and use that as a way to not only go find a job, but also learn about what I want to do. And realistically, like I knew I'm going to spend 40 years working. How can I make it a place that like I feel good about walking out the door every single day? So in doing that, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I would try to reach out to 15 people um, who I thought were cool on LinkedIn and just set up conversations, no strings attached. I just want to learn from you every Friday. Where my head went was like, I feel like overall people in business are nicer on Fridays and more likely to take time to chat with a silly person named Griffin. And I also realized that I didn't have school on Fridays because of how my business school is set up. So like it was this perfect balance of how can I go learn from as many people as possible and do it in a way that works for all parties. So I created this process of just like reaching out to people that I thought were cool, talking to them, learning from them, and trying to just create really solid relationships to help myself down the road and learn what I want to do. I eventually got on this track to like, hey, I know I want to be in sales. I have this cool skill set of being able to talk to people and I enjoy it. I get energy from it. And I also had this MIS, this like Python Excel background. And I decided, okay, I have these two skill sets. What is the thing that I want to do every single day? And I realized it was talking to people and essentially sales. So that oriented how I was reaching out to people. I'd mainly reach out to folks in account executive, account manager, director roles. Uh, and I remember specifically, I was doing this, it was probably week 3 of me doing this. I talked to maybe 8, 9 people. Some of the conversations went really well, some of them not well at all. And this SVP of sales responded to me. This VP of sales at Google Cloud responded to me, and I had an amazing conversation with him. And he got me very excited about the concept of being in sales for the long run. And I go downstairs and I'm like, Dad, I was just talking to the VP of sales at Google Cloud. And he's like, why the heck is that guy giving you the time of day? And I said, great question, but I chatted with him and I feel like I learned something. And he's like, well, I guess good job. Funny enough, that person was, and I didn't realize in this until I went to the conversation with him, was a University of Arizona alumni, was also an Overlake alumni, and we put the two together while we were on the call. And I've now talked to him like 5, 6, 7 times, and he has become someone who like is almost like a career coach for me who gives an outside point of view. So not only is it wicked cool people like Overlake alumni, like University of Arizona alumni, but the way I actually got my job at LinkedIn was continuing this approach. And I randomly reached out to a woman who had been a part of this really awesome sales internship at LinkedIn. I had a good conversation with her. She was like, hey, Griffin, I think you should apply for this role. And I said, okay, for sure. Erica, you tell that to everyone. If you insist, I'll apply to the role. Applied a month later, randomly got an interview. And I think what I did after that was instrumental in where I am today. So I didn't like stop the practice of, I'll call it networking at a high level. The whole time I was through the interview process, I was trying to talk to another University of Arizona alumni who was at LinkedIn or another person who played hockey who was at LinkedIn so that I had a really good understanding of what the job was. I knew what LinkedIn was about and I could realistically like talk the language. So all in all of like starting the recruiting process to ending the recruiting process, I talked to 15 folks who had some connection to me at LinkedIn who eventually like vouched for me and set me up and teed me up for the questions I would get on the interview. So my like anecdote of this is that like talking to people and just trying to understand the work they do and being genuinely curious not only sets you up to get interviews, but to crush interviews and get jobs. Um, what I didn't learn until actually after I got the offer, and this will tee up my next point in my conversation, was that I had actually like not submitted my resume right when I applied. The only reason I got an interview was because my LinkedIn profile was filled out and because I had recommendations on my LinkedIn profile. My recruiter, Annie, literally laughs at me to this day. And she says, "You were the only person who had team members from your college projects talking about you. And that's the reason I interviewed you." So like I stepped back to that after that. I was like, okay, cool. I did all the good stuff networking wise, but also just because I had my LinkedIn set up in a positive way meant that I converted to the next round of an interview. So I would ask yourself, like, what are those little 1% that you can put on a profile? And I'll chat through some of them shortly that are going to make you stand out, that are going to make someone have like a positive, visceral reaction to who you are and like the work you've done. Um, I'll pause there and I'll actually like open it up. Is there any questions, thoughts about that stick out? If not, I'm gonna keep going. I'll give another 3 seconds. Sick. Okay. Uh,
Griffin, I'll jump in because
yeah,
I think
please.
you said that you had a bunch of folks that you had worked on projects with who gave you sort of like peer reviews. So
Yeah.
would you say that like peer reviews or peer recommendations are as valuable as recommendations from, you know, someone who oversees you, a supervisory role?
Definitely. I think like obviously all are important, but companies and interviewers want to know who you are, not only to the manager above you, but the people around you. How do you make someone feel when you work with them? How do you get someone excited to do the work that you're all working on together? And I think like my recommendations alluded to that. And it was literally as simple as just like after we finished the project, like between between us, I was actually like told to do this. So like it was this awesome result of what we had done and what our professor had like advised, but like I didn't realize the importance until after I saw the result. And like that's what I want to show it and say is like, how can I help you all get ahead of this so that you already have this on your profile when it becomes the one time when it's going to be beneficial. Does that answer your question, Jenny? Cool.
Yeah, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions that you want to just jump in and ask at this time before he moves on?
Cool.
Yeah, sorry, I came in late. I'm Carolyn, but I was just curious, if you like, can you do this for like just like school projects, or is it more like larger scale type of thing?
Yeah, yeah. Good question. This like BCom marketing was literally 3 4 month project work in college. So like, yeah, if it was something that you feel was meaningful at all, or even like someone saying, "Hey, Carolyn, you're so awesome. Like, I want to give you good props, good graces," throw it on a LinkedIn profile. Um, you can always take it off, is what I'll say, but you can never put it on. Uh, so I don't see any reason why you shouldn't be if you feel like you have a good relationship with someone, if you had this awesome project that got a good result or even didn't, um, put it on the LinkedIn profile and see what you can do. Helpful, Carolyn?
Yeah, thank you.
Amazing. Uh, I'm gonna talk through like how I have my LinkedIn show up and like why I think some of these things are important outside of recommendations. Uh, I'm gonna send the deck after, but like obviously on each of your experiences, it's very helpful to have a little description of what you've done. Similar to your about section, you want to be talking about yourself. And I know for a lot of people, that's a skill and is hard. It's something we all need to practice in the world of work. So I try to say and figure out like, how can I talk about myself in a way that feels genuine, but also get someone to like crack a smile or think differently about Griffin. So like, I'm a sushi fiend. I'm eating sushi once a week. Um, I'm throwing that on my LinkedIn profile. Uh, my LinkedIn experience overall. If you notice, these are not resume bullets. LinkedIn is not a resume. LinkedIn is your ability to tell your professional story, as cringy as that sounds. I think you can do it in a way that's fun, different, and again, makes someone, when they hit your LinkedIn profile, go, I want to talk more to this person. And I think that especially for folks who are trying to switch into or break into a new role, who are overall like college students trying to find their first internship, or even like folks just casually searching for their next next gig, tiny, tiny things like this do make a difference. So
I'm just
like,
going to share it because it's kind of small. Yeah, I was going to say his very first one for account director says working with the coolest customers on the planet. So those are the examples of the descriptions he's talking about.
right. And I have this because I work with a handful, I work with 60 customers, around 500 to 1,000 employees. I'm connecting with them on LinkedIn to create a relationship or continue to foster one. I want them to realize like they're the coolest customers I'm talking about. So like this is all tailored, and I would encourage everyone to think about who is the ideal person I want viewing my LinkedIn profile when it comes down to it, and what do I want them to be thinking about, feeling, etc. If I was also like looking for a new job, my profile would be different than it is right now. So like keep that in mind, is like, and this is cliche, your LinkedIn profile should like be ever evolving. It should be based on how you're feeling about your life, the day, the world. I think creating this and keeping it up to date and making it this live product is going to make a difference for you. Again, I go overboard and I'm very biased, but like some of these little things you can do with not much effort. Licenses and certifications, whether that's as something as simple or goofy, one could say professional wise, as having your Patty certification on LinkedIn, all the way to just like, hey, here is courses I'm working to upskill. For example, like I think a really cool potential path for me in the future is cloud computing sales, working for an AWS, Azure. I'm actively working on getting a certification there so that I can have it on my LinkedIn profile. So when the time is right, I'm an obvious candidate for a role there. So think about who do I want viewing this? What do I want them thinking? But also 6 months from now, how do I want this to look, and how am I going to start to create this? Got to, Mahtab, come on. Not only is it the hard skills, but also the soft skills. I think for especially like tenured folks, having this on your LinkedIn profile when you maybe don't directly have that skill set or that it's part of your job is going to make a difference. So like, if I can find it here, I think I had Salesforce. Yeah. So one of the roles that I was applying for was very explicit that you needed Salesforce experience. I didn't have Salesforce experience. I hadn't done sales when I was in 2020. So I went and got a certification. Whether that's LinkedIn, whether that's Coursera, whether that's even like something as simple as like watching a YouTube video and like learning in depth, having those things on your profile do make a difference because of what I'm about to show you. So what most people don't.
And Griffin, I was just going to ask, so for these certifications, are you getting the ideas from like what you just said, like from looking at jobs that you're looking to have in the future, from networking and pulling keywords from your conversations that keep coming up, from like gaps in your own reviews each year or something, or like where are you getting, so that folks can think about like, okay, well, where would I start filling in some of my gaps? How would I identify those?
Yeah. Jenny's a great MC, putting a leading question in there for me. Yes, 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 and yes. All those things are what you should be thinking about as you evaluate what's on your LinkedIn profile. Jeff Weiner is our former CEO. Like, this was content that I was like, I want to keep up on this. And I think this is a skill set that like should be a strength of mine. I'm going to go dive deeper and I'm going to go get it on my LinkedIn profile. So yes, everything Jenny just said should be how you're thinking about not only the licenses and certifications you have, but your LinkedIn profile overall. And And I'll also use one of my teammate or one of my also 2018 grads, Lulu, as an example. I did get her permission to do this, so like this is not out of the blue. I think she has insanely awesome experiences. And keep in mind that like she's not looking for a job right now, but I think she can do this like 3 or 4 times better than it is right now. Even having like 1, 2 liners for the work that she does is going to make a difference because of what I'm about to show you. And I think, again, she should be talking about her skills more in depth. So I'm now going to flip it and like, how do the organizations I work with use LinkedIn? Because it's important to how you set up your LinkedIn profile.
Before you shift to talking about that,
Yeah.
Jonathan, did you have a question? I felt like you were starting to type something.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, sure. I guess I'm curious what your take is the difference between like the skills section and the certification. Like it seems like they're kind of showing the same stuff, like are yeah, I guess I don't know if that makes sense, but like
No.
what is one more important than the other? Like certification is like kind of more valued, or like any tips for that?
Yeah. So certifications usually have like some governing body saying you have this skill, whether that's as simple as a LinkedIn Learning course, whether that's Microsoft saying that Griffin is sufficient in Copilot, whether that's Coursera saying, good job, you watched these courses and took this quiz. With skills though, like anyone can add a skill to their profile. I can add, I think I can even do this. Underwater weaving, maybe underwater photography. Like I could add underwater photography to my skills right now. I'm not the best underwater photographer if you've ever met me. So it just shows that like, hey, someone else is confirming that Jonathan has these skills rather than Jonathan just saying he has these skills. Helpful?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Any other thoughts or like LinkedIn profile overall? Cool. So we all agree Lulu should update her profile a little more. But it's important because of how folks use the back end of LinkedIn. So what this is what a recruiter will typically see on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that they wake up. They are running LinkedIn recruiter searches alongside every single job post that they have. So if you see a job post for any job, they're likely in the back end running that same search to go find people proactively rather than waiting for them to come to the job. This is important because how this tool indexes is all based off of your LinkedIn profile. So whether that's as silly as like hockey and sales, or that's exactly what someone's looking for in terms of I'll use my previous example of cloud computing, someone with Azure experience who's been at a company for more than 2 years, who also speaks fluent Spanish. You can literally index for whatever you want with this tool. Obviously, most people are using this based on the job description, but like keep that in mind is that some people, companies I do work with are running these basic job searches and then adding something as silly as hockey or even as silly as like the word startups to be on a LinkedIn profile. So you have to balance this almost like SEO work with something that has a positive reaction when someone clicks on your profile. That's what I'd be encouraging you to like figure out in your head, whether that's using ChatGPT to figure it out or doing it the old fashioned way. How do you get someone to smile or think differently about you while also setting yourself up for success with how people use the back end? So obviously, very large search. Maybe I'll confine it to Redmond, Washington. But how folks use LinkedIn Recruiter right now is they will click on a profile and recruiters are spending roughly 15 to 30 seconds on these profiles. You maybe have heard like the common thing that folks spend 8 seconds on a resume. Folks are spending just a little longer on LinkedIn profiles, but it's not a lot. That is not a lot of time for you to win someone over. Hence why we should be thinking about how can we get someone to feel positive about us? So most of the recruiters I work with will look at your profile, they'll maybe scroll for 3 seconds, and then they'll decide if they want to send a message to you or not. So what does that tell you? This summary section is hyper important. This person doesn't really tell me what they do in their day-to-day. Hard for me to like feel really confident that I should reach out to this person. So keep that in mind as you're building out your LinkedIn profile, that 1% more. What's also interesting you might have seen is these spotlight filters. How also folks use LinkedIn is they click this open to work button to index on people who meet exactly what they're looking for and are also looking for new jobs. This is the important part though. Most people think about open to work as this like green banner that tells everyone that you're looking for a new job. That is actually not how most people use the open to work feature, nor how recruiters find people. What folks actually do is this visibility piece right here when they're setting their job preferences is they put it to recruiters only. Okay. So what this means is only people with this toolkit that's tens of thousands of dollars have access to see who's looking for new jobs. So if I'm someone who's looking for a new job or looking for a career pivot, I would heavily, heavily encourage you to, even if you're not looking right now, but you think you're going to be looking in a month, 2 months, to just have this up because it cannot hurt you. Folks at your company who are recruiters and have this tool can't see someone at LinkedIn or at their company who is open to work. So you should feel confident that you will be protected and that you can like casually start looking for a new job if you want to. And you should see messaging, outreach, relay, and result in these slight changes. I'll slow down again. I'm talking a lot. Is there anything that like sticks out about this that feels weird, that feels crazy? Or Jenny, any thoughts?
I was going to let other people jump in with questions, but I wanted to make sure everyone caught that, right? The difference between that green open to work circle that goes around your profile photo that everyone sees versus choosing to set your visibility settings so that you can just be visible to recruiters at companies that are paying money for this, visibility to you, and your own company can't see you. So that's a really good tip.
Completely.
Did you have what questions came up from folks thinking about because Griffin, you were a recruiter at one point or no?
For 3 months, yeah.
Okay, so what questions come up for folks about the recruiting side or like the job seeker side?
I guess could you just show how to make it filter to recruiters only instead of just making it visible to everybody again?
Yeah, for sure. If you're on your LinkedIn profile, you should see this open to button. I already have it set so it shows up like this, but you press open to, and then you'll see jobs right here, and you can click it. Found it?
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Yeah, completely. Okay, cool. So we're all on the same page. Build out your LinkedIn profile so you make someone feel that 1% better. We know why we're doing this because folks run heavily specialized, essentially SEO searches on a LinkedIn profile and scrape across all of it. Now I want to shift over to how I think we should be approaching the recruitment process overall. Most folks think that hey, if I apply to a job, if I'm literally every day scrolling and applying to the 3 jobs that excite me on here, that I'm going to eventually get hired. 10 years ago, that's how it used to be. You could just apply to a bunch of roles that you kind of fit for, and it'd be a numbers game, and you'd get an interview and potentially a job. I don't know if it's sad, but that's not how it works now. This is how I think about the front door about how most people find jobs, you should be asking yourself, what are the side doors? What are the back doors in that are going to allow me to get the job I dream about, get the job that like excites me and makes me feel like good about myself. Um, I think the way to do that is how I found my job at LinkedIn, was reaching out to people. And I feel like at first, like transparently, it was very scary for me. And it also was, this is gonna sound silly, but like it kind of felt icky too, that I was just like cold reaching out to people trying to get a job. But when I reframed it in my head of like, I'm gonna just go try to learn from these people, not only did I find myself like being more excited for these conversations, less nervous with repetition, obviously, but I also had people like offering me jobs and offering me to like refer me to apply to any job at the company. And that came because I genuinely was just like curious about the work they did and I asked thoughtful questions. So like as I'm talking through that, like I think that's the lens and like an important competency of this, of like if you're going to take this backdoor strategy, it has to come again, sounds cliche, it has to come from the heart. Like you actually have to like want to talk to these people and be curious. What I was literally doing every day was clicking this text box, pressing enter. I would click people. I would go to all filters. I would go type in a couple companies that I thought was cool. Maybe I'm just going to do these for ease. I would say schools, University of Arizona. Maybe I'd even throw in Overlake. And then I would literally just go down this list and figure out who I thought was cool. I'm just going to take out Amazon for I would literally scroll. I would find someone that I thought was cool. I'd send a connection request, but here's the important part. A lot of people now are trying these strategies out and are literally mass sending the same message over and over. I think it's important to take 5 seconds, understand what this person does, and send them a thoughtful note. So for Nikila, maybe I'd be asking her, hey, like, I know I want to get into Azure. You kind of have a unique perspective that you're on the PM side. Would love to just chat about how you got there from the University of Arizona. That note will get you a response 30% of the time. Sending the exact same copy paste note, hey, I'm Griffin and I'm looking for a new job, will not get you the results you want. I want to be like very transparent about that. I get 15 messages per week of someone saying, hey, Griffin, I want a LinkedIn internship. That is very, very different than Griffin sending a message to someone, say, hey, Jenny, I want to learn more about what you do and how you got there. Like if you were to leave this call knowing one thing, that's what I'd want you to know, is that like you should be trying the side door routes and you should be trying to take a genuine approach to learn about someone's background and job, and the things will come. Thoughts, feelings, reactions, we in agreement? We hate this idea.
Can I
What
ask a question? Did you set any parameters for yourself on how you handle those conversations? Like, did you make a point to make them 15 minutes so you wouldn't take up somebody's entire day? Did you make a point to try and think of a way to give something back so that it was a give and take? These are things that you kind of get advised for. It'd be interesting to know how you manage that.
Yeah, great question. And like first I want to say like the first 10, I was like horrible. I was stumbling. I really didn't know what I was doing, but like I eventually got better. Great question. Like I would set my calls up so that they were 25 minutes instead of 30 minutes so that someone could leave my meeting early and go to the bathroom, finish up a small task. And I noticed folks liked that. The other thing is like I was setting these up on Friday. So like I think that also helped calendar wise. I was also, to your point, like I was doing research ahead of time about.
I'm going to guess you were setting them up on Fridays, not at 5 p.m. though.
No, not at 5 p.m. on Friday for sure. Yeah, you're hitting on the head. Like I would do the work necessary to ask thoughtful questions. This was not me like running through the same 10 questions and like interrogating someone. This was someone who like I spent 10 minutes looking at their LinkedIn profile. I spent 5 minutes Googling them. And I also, now I would have, but I didn't have it previously. I would type in Google, like, what does this company do? Why are they doing this? What does she do? What does he do? To just ask good questions. Crazy part now is like, you could just type into ChatGPT, hey, this person seems cool. What questions should I be asking them? Obviously do other, like a couple levels after that of like distillation slash thoughtfulness, but like it is insanely easy to now prep for these calls and have fun with it. Do both those things. Does that answer like kind of hit what you're hoping?
That is, I have a person who I think does this really well, and they make a point of thinking about a book that might be interesting, and so making sure that they're offering something as well in the process, or some seminar that's coming up that post might not be aware of, just some way of making it sort of shared value
I love it.
rather than one-way value. That's hard to do, so I was just curious as to what you might have learned in the process.
Yeah, no, I think that is awesome. That is like the next level of doing it. What I found, funny enough, was a lot of people wanted to chat about the University of Arizona and like relive their college experience through me. So like they're asking me about like if the bars that they went to were still pop in, and they're asking me about like the classes I'm taking and if professors were still there. Like I think you hit it on the head. Like I was trying to give value. That's where I saw myself giving the most value, was like letting someone live through me vicariously. So yeah, I think you're spot on.
Perfect.
I love the idea of offering like a reading or something, like a podcast you've listened to that you think is valuable to the person whose profile you spent time looking at ahead of time, offering that, you know, perspective from your own life. And then also another thing you can do is, if you like, I'm a connector, right? So is Griffin. And so like, if I'm talking to Griffin and I'm like, you know what, you should actually talk to Mahtab, because Mahtab is into this, you know, blah, blah, blah. And like, she also has a certification in belonging and whatever. So like offering those connections too can be another way of making it more reciprocal. And speaking of Mahtab, she put a question in the chat. Are these people you're already connected to or open to anyone? So when you were doing that search and you clicked people and the company and then you were looking for somebody cool, were those random people, like, or were they people that you were like that were like in your second or third layers of connection?
Yeah. Not first degree connections. They're all folks that I had never worked before, chatted with. So yeah, they're all, I was open to anyone. I was just in my head making sure that like my litmus test was, do I think this person seems cool? And do I want to talk to them? Also why I think it's important to have a good LinkedIn profile. So yeah, there wasn't like this like line of like, I'm only gonna chat with people who are somewhat are second degree or somewhat connected to me. It was realistically anyone I thought was cool. Obviously though, like if you find a mutual and like, I'm trying to find someone who's a good example. Maybe like Varun. Pam Perry is the former University of Arizona alumni director. I would for sure message Pam and say, hey, I think Varun's cool, similar to what Jenny said in just a different way. Should I talk to him about his experience at Microsoft? Do you think I'll learn something? Okay, cool. Like I can ghostwrite you a note for you to connect us. Those little things are also going to make these conversations really successful if you can have either be a connector or have someone connect you, so that it's not completely from a rando named Griffin who just went to the University of Arizona.
I also love that you just said that you ghost wrote that connection piece. I get asked all the time to make those connections for people. And I'm like, give me what you're looking for. Like, what do you want me to write in that note? And so by ghostwriting it for them, and then I can like copy, paste, send, and then I've connected the two people with very little work on my end.
Completely.
Such a pro tip.
If you are asking someone to do something for you, make it insanely easy on them. If you're asking, and this is also a strategy that I take if I maybe wasn't in the workforce yet, is like, go talk to your family friends and figure out if there's someone cool they know. Go ghostwrite your note for a friend's dad. They're going to be so ecstatic that like you did the work for them, and they're going to go out of their way to connect you and make it easy on you. So yeah, Go.
The same for your recs, right? Like for your comments that your peers and your supervisors are making for, and people who report up to you are writing, like can you write me a rec, for this project, for this job, for this role, whatever. Here are the things that stood out to me that I would love for you to, speak to about me, and like give them some of that work rather than just being like, hey, will you write a rec for me? And then they're like, what do I write? So like give them the leading key points.
Agreed.
Thanks, Carolyn. Bye.
Amazing.
Griffin,
Thank
one
you.
of the other questions that I was thinking that people probably have on here are more like on your own, unless people have more questions about the networking piece. But I think a lot of folks want to know about content on your actual profile. And you talked about all those 1%. And I feel like some of the 1% you were getting at were the, putting descriptions for what you do, adding in those recs, adding in those certifications. What are the other 1%? And then a secondary question, if this is related or not, is like, how important are posts and commenting and being active on LinkedIn? So if you could speak to those couple things, I'm going to guess that that's something folks are wondering about.
Yeah, I'll start with the last one. I think there is this interesting place where like LinkedIn has this, I don't know how to put it, but like fewer people post on LinkedIn compared to the Instagrams, the Facebooks, and it's more people engage than more people post. While Instagram, I think the numbers is like 50% of people will post in any given month. So it's something like crazy. So there's this like discrepancy between how many people are actually engaging with content on LinkedIn and what's actually being posted. So that does give you a unique opportunity to get in front of people who like match your job, who do this same work you do or in the industry you're in. With that being said, like I've found a lot of people who are like, Griffin, like I want to post. And then you ask them why, and they're like, because I think I should, like because I was told to. And it's like, wait, like, you can't just make one post and you're gonna go viral. It takes a consistent effort. But you should also be asking yourself, like, hey, do I have a unique perspective on this? And am I providing value to someone who's reading this? If it's just like something you created off ChatGPT and you're like, this kind of makes me look good. My take is like, I don't ask yourself if you think you should be posting that. But if like you are providing genuine thoughts out into the world to a group of people that like you make a difference in, heck yeah, go do it. I'd rather have you like spend time upskilling than creating a LinkedIn post for 30 minutes. So I think the question you just need to ask is like, hey, is this going to be an effective use of my time? When I think about what are like these 1% that you asked, Jenny, I think like the experiences is like the bare minimum. That's an easy win. I think showing that like you're engaging with similar people that like you want to go after, who you want on your LinkedIn profile. So like, for example, what was the question? Yeah, sure. I can show an example. This was a post I made. This is different because like I'm trying to help an organization hire. I made a post. Let's actually see. Another sharing with my team network. As you can see, I don't post a lot of like thought leadership. Most of my posts are a transition to a new job. Most of my posts are being excited for my sister or my mom writing a book. So like, I don't think I am the person who's going to tell you, or I am the person doing, you need to post. You need to post video, post written. I'd rather have you spend time, this is gonna sound bad, like scrolling on LinkedIn with the people that are industry leaders and trying to learn about how other people are approaching it before you try to just create. Maybe that's not the answer that everyone would give, but like that's my perspective.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I just want to clarify. I see people, and maybe I don't know the terminology, but I see people adding updates when they attend a conference, when they have finished something. I thought that's what that was about, like just to announce something that you've done recently. I hadn't considered this business around providing a perspective. Is it the same phenomena or the same part of the tool that you do that, or are those different things?
Yeah, no, exact same. So I think that's what like LinkedIn is becoming up is it used to be a place where like Jenny got a new job. This is a congrats. Everyone say I'm so awesome. That's what it was. Definitely like 3-4 years ago. It is becoming this like place where people can now share their approaches, provide thought leadership, um, help connect others. It is becoming a lot more than just a place where people share updates or people find jobs. And that's definitely the mission LinkedIn's trying to go after is how do we make this a place where people talk about what work is like and provide value to each other. So same mechanism, just different approach and hopefully different value gained from it. In terms of my profile, what are those 1%? It's in the deck, called it out earlier, like having a good picture. As you can see, like this is a picture from 4 years ago, but I kind of look the same. So I'm keeping it up for now. If I were to give myself advice, it'd be to update this picture. I think it's important to, like I've said, like show who you are, show what you've done, and find this interesting balance of like making someone feel good and talking about how cool you are and the work you've done. Is that I feel like I'm like kind of in this circling. Is that fair, Jenny? Any different approaches that you want me to hit on?
I think no, I think that's really helpful. I think maybe talk about the background banner that you have with your photo and like what do you think about how those interplay? That's a question that I have. I'm a very visual person. And then also for the recs, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it always populates from the most recent. And so like how important is it thinking of like if you get a really valuable one, wanting to keep that up top, you know, like how do you think about that?
Yeah, completely. So like in this case, for example, like I actually continued reffing past my job judo time, but I want my job judo to show up higher. So I definitely played with these dates to not only show that like I've been doing this for a while and be honest, be somewhat honest. But I set it up because to Jenny's point, like I know people spend less and less time on my profile as they go down. And what are the things I want someone to learn or feel right away? So yeah, great point, Jenny. Like be conscious about how you lay out your experiences because not only are they important to how someone sees and interacts with your profile, but also if we go back to this piece, I have a lot of organizations who use years of experience and years in current company. If you create two separate experiences that maybe is LinkedIn and LinkedIn Australia, let's just use as an example, LinkedIn doesn't know that those are the same companies. So it's now going to say, oh, Griffin only spent 2 years at LinkedIn and then 2 years at LinkedIn Australia. Some companies index on that and say, wow, Griffin's might be a job hopper. I don't really want to hire him because of that. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind. I think that's a great point. I also know, for example, like my target group that I want on my LinkedIn profile and feeling some sort of way is recruiters who I work with or like VPs of HR. So like I want folks to know that like, hey, I'm cheerleaders for the companies I work with. I'm helping them hire not only back end, but I'm also reposting the heck out of these roles. And oh, I'm the coolest customer. Oh, he's worked with some people like me. That is what I'm envisioning. And like, I think it'd be a really good practice to use ChatGPT, Perplexity, your favorite large language model to figure that stuff out. Say, hey, this is my like ICP of who I want, viewing my LinkedIn profile and viewing and feeling some way. How can I do that with these experiences? Agreed. Do we like that? Do we take it a different approach?
I think that's really helpful to be thinking of like who is the audience of people that are looking at your profile now. So for my job, right, I'm the director of alumni engagement. And so alumni and alumni parents are a lot of who's looking at mine. And then I'm learning more and more also alumni directors at peer schools in the area or like schools like Overlake are also often looking at my profile and seeing what is she doing? Should I be doing that at my school? But then if I were to be like, okay, well, I've done this for 5 years, I'm now ready to move on to another job, then the things I would want to be thinking about are, okay, what do I love best about my job? Okay, I like the relationships and the community building and the events. And so then I would be thinking of looking for roles that have those like title, like those words in the title. And then I'd be reading those job descriptions or putting them into ChatGPT and asking for it to distill keywords that continue to pop up. And those are where I'm going to start to focus on the things I'm posting, the things I'm liking, and then also the skills and certifications that I'm adding on my profile. So does that make sense? Like to give that example of what Griffin has told us to do, of what I would do if I was starting a job hunt.
I love it. I think that's great.
Megan, you have a new role. What questions are bubbling up for you as you're thinking about like, okay, I joined this because I have a job, which is great, and that you just got and you love, but then like, what are you wanting? Like, what are your questions about how your profile can reflect that new level of, responsibility?
Yeah, something that I've been thinking about is I'm trying to think about the perspective of people understanding what I do now. Even the people that I've been working with, some of them I'm still working with in this new role, even though I was in the old role with them as well, but what my responsibilities are changing. So I'm trying to think about how I can kind of reflect what my effect and impact is going to be in this new role so that people who know me and people who don't can kind of see the evolution of what I'm doing, and also to kind of express, what people can look to me to help with.
I love that. I mean, I think within myself too, like account executive and account director, like what the heck does that even mean? Like that's so arbitrary. How can you balance this like quick, hey, here's what I do, here's how these things have changed, while also making someone feel good, different, excited. I think that's awesome.
I think that's also
Totally,
probably
yeah.
where the little descriptions underneath what you do. So he has account executive, and it says work with startups and small business leaders to hire and develop talent through LinkedIn for the first time. You're like, oh, okay. So he's like acquiring new customers and bringing them in. And I think being able to like translate, right? Like, what is it that you're doing for people that are not doing your job is helpful. I mean, my husband's a good example. Like, people in his own like team and adjacent teams don't even really like couldn't at a party if you ask them like, what does Ryan do? They'd be like, well, and so you have to have your profile like actually be able to distill that for people and quickly because of the 15 seconds of at most that they're looking at your profile.
I think you hit it on the head. Again,
I have a random esoteric question I wanted to ask you.
No. That's the point of this.
Carolyn happens to be a multilingual person.
Cool.
And she is developing, one of her languages has been a second language, and the other one is developing. Okay. And obviously, it's not the most important thing about her. She's got her strong opinions about what she's looking for in engineering, I think. But she wants to be able to present her language in a way that's a little bit more interesting. And so she spent the summer at Middlebury Language School with some adults, like really doing an immersion thing. She wants to add that. Like, what's the best way to put that forward without it being ridiculous?
Yeah. I mean, I think one way is like use the language function, like my teammate Cara does. Use the skills to like call out that you have like a lot of foreign language experience. I would also think about like, it sounds like that's a core part of like who she is and how she does her work. Similar to Cara, like she says, hey, if you want to see me light up, let's talk languages, distance running, LinkedIn learning. I think you could run a similar play here, just like Cara did. So yeah, I would have that all over your LinkedIn profile. That does make a difference. Not only like companies want folks who have that experience, not only because usually those people are awesome, but they also usually do great work. And They usually add something culture-wise to an organization. I'd be talking the crap out of it.
And so she was debating on putting what I think is a post, something that looks a little bit like that person with the picture about her finishing Middlebury, whatever the hell that was. So that's not something you should shy away from, right?
I don't think so. I'll use my sister as an example, who was also Overlake alumni. She and her current teammates like post all the time about their successes. I am not telling you not to do that at all. I think if there's something that like you're really pumped about, whether that's a job change, whether that's a new skill you're gaining, post about it on LinkedIn. Just in the back of your mind, be asking yourself to like some extent, what value is this creating? Again, post it, have fun with it, be different. Just keep that in the back of your mind.
And then, sorry, last thing, she also happened to get her pilot's license. I
Cool.
felt like that was good LinkedIn fodder as well,
Oh my
but she
God.
was debating back and forth about would it be the right place.
Griffin says do it.
Okay.
This is your place to like stand out in the ways that like maybe might not feel initially professional, but like are. Like, for example, if you scroll down, one of my experiences is literally says got paid to skate around. One of mine is coached 15 people at the same time as a volleyball coach. Most people don't think that that is like a thing that plays into your professional persona, but it does. And it
Yeah,
does make a
that's hard
difference
work.
in hard work, ability to like work on the fly, to be on your feet. Yeah, insane
Okay.
hard work to get a pilot license. Yeah, I'd be doing that. I'd be
Okay,
putting it
awesome.
everywhere I could.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was going to say her tagline, connecting people and places. Like that's a great, and that's where it makes me think that Carolyn should have like some kind of map with like a plane in the background or something for her banner. That was a question I had earlier. How important are banners? And then that also, the question about Carolyn's language is like, how important are joining groups, like interest groups that are in LinkedIn? I'm sure we've all been like invited to one at some point, including the Overlake alumni one, which if you're not part of, you should join.
Shameless plug. Keep it going. I love it. I think headers, like, they're not going to be, it's part of the 1%, right? Like you want to stack as many 1% up for yourself. Again, my persona that I'm going after is recruiters and VPs of TA. So like, I want to talk about what LinkedIn is doing that's new. I also, if you notice, like I've edited this picture so that if you take like a 15-second deeper look, you'll see a couple things that like matter to me. Whoops. For example, there's like a football helmet that has a little Copilot logo. There's a LinkedIn jersey that says hiring assistant, even though it's hard to see. Like I took 10 minutes, 15 minutes out of my day in Canva to go build this out. So it not only solves for my ideal customer profile, my VPs of TA, talent acquisition folks, but it also is me. It's different. It adds that just like 1 extra percent to if
You
someone said,
can
oh,
make a LinkedIn banner on Canva.
yeah. I mean, it's just
That might have been the best takeaway of this whole thing, Griffin. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, you just have to know the exact like dimensions. It'll tell you when you save what dimensions they're looking for. But yeah, like I'd be screwing around in Canva, making something that like stands out, is different. I think that is a good
Stay
use of
tuned
10
for my
minutes.
new banner, y'all.
I love it. No, like, yeah, again, I've heard folks who like get conversations set up for new jobs because they have a good banner, because they have a banner that talks about what they do, and it's cool, it's cute, it's different. It's the planes flying around and maybe also has a Washington State image and also has Middlebury logo in there, and it's different. Go be different and go have fun. That's what I'd be thinking.
Okay, we're a little over time. What other questions do you all have? Any other lingering thoughts? Things you want to know while you have the expert here?
I had a really quick question. First of all,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Griffin. This is so great. I love
Yeah.
the tangible tools, and I promise you, I'm gonna and the next month apply, put things two things in the application.
I love it.
I have a lot of current Overlake students seeking to connect with me on LinkedIn. Is there a benefit to high school kids having a LinkedIn page? And is it helpful for them in terms of their college prospects, or is it just something that they're trying out?
Yeah, good question. I do not think it makes a big difference college aspect perspective. Like, I don't think college coordinators or rather evaluators are looking at someone's LinkedIn profile to decide if they're going to accept them or not. With that being said, like, I know some high schoolers who are like doing insanely awesome work, and they're professionals, even though they're 15. I'm game for them to have a LinkedIn profile, but I also know of parents who are telling their 14-year-olds that they need to have a LinkedIn. And I'm like, holy cow, slow down, like, go let them have fun with their lives. It's all a balance. It all depends on where they are in their kind of journey when it comes to skills. When it, like, literally one of my buddies, Evan, he also Overlake alum, he was doing like insane Python work in high school. I think that's a fair thing to have on a LinkedIn profile. And he had a LinkedIn profile 5 years before I did. That's because he had a skill set that, like, I think should be talked about on LinkedIn. It depends. It's so nuanced. I just don't think parents should be forcing their high schoolers to have a LinkedIn. It should feel natural. It should feel fun. It should be something that, like, a high schooler, if they're going to do it, they want to do it because they're going to learn.
I'm going to dive in here and I'm going to say by senior year, Overlakers should have a LinkedIn because they all do a senior project, and that is content that you can put in your LinkedIn. I also think Project Week is a great content piece that you can put in your LinkedIn. That's an Overlake specific thing. And so yes, Mahtab, and there is a student, like upper school student LinkedIn session that Griffin is running with me the first week in December that is required for all juniors and seniors. So,
And I would say both of my kids got offers their freshman year because somebody did what he said, was like triangulate around their alumni and I don't know what the hell, and reached out to them on LinkedIn and offered them an opportunity both in high school and in college. So if you have the wherewithal to do it and do it well, like it can't be sloppy, then I definitely think it's worth doing it early.
I think it's worth it. I'm not going to tell anyone not to make a LinkedIn profile. I just also want high schoolers to, like, go find themselves and have fun, and should not be obsessing over their LinkedIn profile like Griffin does. So that's my, like, caution, I guess.
Right. I would say their profiles were very short. They weren't at all complex, but they had the few
Right.
data points that mattered. Yeah.
No, I'm with it.
yeah, and my rule is when students come to me and ask to be connected with you all, I always say you have to have a LinkedIn before I'll connect you. So that's just,
Cool.
If they're looking to get an internship, they should have a LinkedIn that represents their skills in some way. So
I like it.
anything else come up for anybody else before we let Griffin go for the evening?
I just have a really quick, just super general question, because I also have to skedaddle out of here in a couple of minutes. But more of my question was just about how you kind of like came into your profession, because what I'm thinking about a lot right now, and I do go to a little bit of a different school. I go to a liberal arts school, and so we don't necessarily have like a school of business or something like that. And I've been really interested in like finding like an intersection between a lot of my studies, especially like with a stronger interest within like business and marketing, especially. And I was just kind of wondering how you came into your current position now, and how your like skills, your skill set from college has helped you with that. Oh no, is this my LinkedIn?
No. I won't spend long. You're good. I'm just getting to the Carlton piece.
Okay.
Sorry for the freak.
No, that's okay. I just felt really famous. But
again, what I would do is literally just take this and, like, again, I did not know that this was something that I wanted to do when I was starting this process. So it took time. It took 40 conversations with salespeople / business development people to realize, like, I want to work at LinkedIn and I want to do sales. So, like, give yourself some grace. With that being said, like, actually talking to these people is the difference and like what got me to know that stuff. So if I were you, like to triangulate, I like that word. I would throw in Carleton College and like spend 15 minutes just scrolling, seeing if anyone is gonna stick out and anyone is cool. I also think something interesting here that's different than University of Arizona is I almost was playing the numbers game essentially, right? Like there's a lot more University of Arizona alumni than Carleton College alumni. These connections that you have could be a lot stronger because your school's smaller, just by quantity, right? So like if I'm you, I'm like kind of excited that like I have a good hit list of people who are gonna likely go out of their way to help me if I come in with a genuine curiosity. So like if I'm you, I'd be scrolling. I'd literally challenge yourself to spend just 20 minutes a week, spread that out across 5 days. What is that? Like 4 or 5 minutes, and just make if you I know my sister and other college students spend hours on TikTok and Instagram and Reels scrolling. Spend 15-20 minutes trying to figure out if though that person who has this cool cross of policy and politics is out there. I'll tell you right now they are. You just have to go find them.
And then that's your point of connection, right? You're genuine. You're like, hey, I see you also were at Carleton College and you studied an intersection of these two different areas. That's my interest too. And like that, there's your point of connection.
Completely.
No, that's super
And this-
helpful, and I did not know you could filter by people and stuff. So this has been really helpful. I appreciate that.
Completely. Most people don't. I think this is the cheat code that is LinkedIn. So yeah, I would use it and abuse it. Yeah, I'm surprised they still provide this for free. This is something people will and do pay money for.
And Griffin, are you okay with all of the people on here connecting with you on LinkedIn and asking you questions directly if they come up afterward?
Please.
Like if they think of something a week from now and they're like, hey, I had a question for Griffin, I'm going to put that in the DM. That's okay.
Please. Yeah, more than happy to be someone to talk to vent to help. That's what I like doing. And funny enough, like I started realizing when I was in college, like I liked help people finding jobs. LinkedIn was the place that I could do that at scale. So yeah, shoot me notes. I'm happy to reflect and give you some thoughts.
And
Fantastic.
I figured out that I like helping people, and that used to be in the classroom, and now it's in the alumni role and in my fundraising work and volunteer work outside of here. So I think the consistent thread tonight has been like figure out what you love doing and then figure out how to make your LinkedIn reflect that and lean into that and connect with people who are doing things that you want to also love doing so that you can get to that place in your career path. Thank you so much, Griffin, for being our incredible speaker this evening. Such a wealth of information and a natural connector. That's, I think, the thing that stands out the most about you as a student. He was like the office hours star, and he was, naturally connecting people even when he was in high school. So thank you to all of you for being here, and we'll share the initial deck that Griffin was showing. We'll share that. I'll send it out via email afterward, and I may, if I have time tomorrow, I may type up some notes from what I took, which was a lot, and give you a couple of key points so that you can all have that. We also recorded this session, and so Griffin and I were chatting about, random stuff at the beginning. So I'll see if I can edit that. I don't know what Teams spits out, but if it's shareable in some way, I'll share that out as well. So
I just want to say thank you so much, Jenny. When we started Overlake, we started online, and so our very first class had your same little face in there, and it's just very lovely to see you again. I'm sad to hear that you're not a teacher, but I really appreciate you offering this opportunity.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I was saying to my husband, I was like, gosh, I need to brush up on my Teams because I haven't done it since I was teaching online. I remember teaching Maddie and her at home as well. So yeah, if you all think of any other, I hope this is the start of many virtual sessions. So if you think of additional topics you'd want to know, like shoot me a note and I'll try to get it set up. So,
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank
All
you
right,
guys
bye,
again.
all.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.